Welcome. I am here with Brian Gibbons with the LeasePuchaseGuys.com and the RentToOwnGuys.com. Welcome, Brian.
Well, thank you.
And we're going to talk about how he can help you, the real estate investor. Talk to us about this, Brian.
Well, great. You know, and Jen, I know you're not an experienced real estate investor, so I'm going to talk in terms that make sense to the new person.
So I might ask you some questions.
Oh, well,
some
I
hard
want
questions.
you to. I want you to.
Okay.
Okay. Let's talk about the state of the residential real estate market right now. And let's talk about not the fix and flip guys that are taking these lunch pill Joe houses. We're not talking about that.
Okay.
We're talking about executive homes.
In this economy.
Yeah, no, but executive homes. I'm talking about great school districts. Okay?
American dream.
We're not talking about blue collar homes.
Okay.
We're not talking about bad neighborhoods with bad school districts. We're talking about great school districts. We're talking about fantastic homes.
Updated kitchens.
Perfect houses. No work to be done.
Okay.
So most real estate investors, they try to make a living in wholesaling. And what wholesaling means, I know you've never heard of that.
Yeah.
All it means is you get an option to purchase agreement on a house that's in trouble. Okay?
Trouble how?
Like almost a short sale.
Okay.
Or they had somebody can't pay the mortgage. And they're just getting in trouble.
Okay.
Maybe they can't upkeep the house. They have big weeds in the front or whatever. We don't want those houses. What we're doing is we are training people nationally for lease purchase consulting.
All right, explain to us what that means. What does
good.
that mean? What does this model look like?
Okay, let me tell you about it. We've got two sites. One is for sellers that can't sell,
Okay.
and they're nice houses in nice areas. Okay? Now, I don't know if you've ever heard of friends of yours that can't sell their house.
Yeah, especially in this economy.
I know.
It's tough.
It's a buyer's market, isn't it?
It is. It really is. And people have overpaid for their homes.
Right. They bought it
a
top of
couple
the market.
years ago, absolutely, and now they cannot.
And now we're at the bottom of the market.
They're in a bind.
You know, they have to pay to get rid of their house. After they pay the real estate agent's fees, after they pay the closing costs, after they pay the seller's concessions, and after they pay the price reduction, if the agent just whipped out a listing agreement at any price and knowing it's not a realistic price, okay, they can lose 10 to 15% of the value of their house. So that stinks, okay?
Yeah, they don't want to do that. They're not willing to do that.
Well,
and they can't.
If you do the math, like let's say you had a $500,000 executive home, right? Beautiful house. They bought at the top of the market. They may have paid $550,000 for that house. And it's a buyer's market, so the $500,000 houses are selling underneath that price, like at $450,000. So the gap, they're going to have to pay to get rid of the house after they pay the real estate commission on top of the $450,000 sales price,
Yeah.
and the closing costs. The buyers want a bargain right now. So these sellers are stuck. The only other thing that comes into their mind is renting.
Which I have to say.
A beautiful house in a beautiful neighborhood?
I say that's great, but what if these people that come into they don't care about it and they trash it? How are you going to control that? How are you going to safeguard that? How?
What are you going to do? Live with the tenant and say, don't move that coffee cup onto that? You know, you can't do that. Okay? And the law is pro-tenant. And evicting a tenant is, a real chore.
Sure. Legally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can go get a property manager if you want to, but they're not going to guarantee results. They're going to use best efforts, they call it. But that doesn't guarantee anything.
Ultimately, the seller is the one that's stuck if it doesn't get paid.
Yeah. So we've got this seller that's got no equity. We call them no equity deals, and there's 20 million of them all over the country. And even if you're a little bit upside down, just a tiny bit, we can still work with that seller because we do a long-term lease purchase in order for them to pay down the mortgage till it's zero, and then they can get out of that loan. It might take 3 to 5 years.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So if you
walk me through that, just walk me through the process.
Well, think of the numbers. I know we're not drawing numbers down here, but if you bought at $550,000,
yep.
The market appraisal is $500,000.
And so that's the comps. Those are the
Yeah,
values
those are the
within.
comps.
Okay.
And to sell it fast, you got to go under the comps.
Okay.
Like at $450,000.
Right. So there's that $100,000 gap or $75,000
yeah.
gap.
So what we'll do is we'll lease purchase that property for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, whatever it takes, to get down to the appraisal price. What if it rises in value a little bit?
Yeah.
Well, then you have to pay down less of the mortgage. We want to get it just so you owe zero. Yeah. Okay? And then the buyer gets a mortgage and you're out of it.
Right.
Better than short sale.
Oh, a lot better than a short sale.
Do you know the bad things about a short sale?
Well,
what do you think the bad things of a short sale are?
Well, a short sale, because the bank takes forever. They just take whenever they want to get back to you.
6 to 12 months.
Okay, that's forever when you're
Major
waiting
lender,
on a home.
you know, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, whatever.
And there's really no guarantee that they're going to say okay to the loan,
No,
right?
they don't give you the green light or the red light till the very end.
Okay.
So how can you plan your life?
Well, it's too much uncertainty, for sure.
Exactly.
So what are the downsides to your business model?
For the lease purchase guys, there's very little downside for the seller.
Okay.
Because the way we structure it, they don't pay just market rent, they pay more.
How do you make that happen?
Yeah, we got some really good, ingenious ways of getting that done. But let's say that they have a $500,000 house. Let's say market rent is only $2,500.
Okay.
And let's say their outgoings are $3,500 on PITI. There's a $1,000 gap there.
Right.
Well, we'll do a lease payment plus an option payment so that they don't have to feed the house out of their pocket every month. How would you like to feed something for $1,000 a month?
That you're not even in.
Yeah.
Just.
And in order for the buyer to get a mortgage, John, they can't charge more than market rent. It won't work. The mortgage origination people will not allow that. They'll only allow more market rent. So we get a market survey to come in and compare it with all the other houses that are in that area that are renting to make sure it's fair market rent.
This is when the lease purchase guys come in and then you guys.
Yeah. So what we're doing is we're training you to do a couple of things on the seller side. We're training you to do innovative marketing. Innovative. We're training you to have a presentation. You fly into our office, either the West Coast or the East Coast, and we train you how to give a presentation to the seller. We don't just say, here's a script, good luck. And if you ever heard of other companies out there, I won't name any, but you know, they got the ugly house people, you know, they charge a franchise fee, and that's what we do. And we're going to help you every step of the way. Set up your office. We're going to have a seller side, a buyer side, and we have some innovative ways to get other people to refer you business, like CPAs and financial planners, because we deal with the high end. We don't deal with the low end. We only deal with executive homes.
That's refreshing.
Well, because I'm a financial planner, we talk to the sellers about all the costs to sell, and we compare it with renting, and then we compare it with lease purchase. And these educated sellers that have college degrees and big income, they get it.
Sure.
But the seller of a blue-collar house, I'm sorry, you know, they're living paycheck to paycheck anyway, and they just want a quick sale, and they don't want to help a buyer buy it. They just don't want to do it, okay?
Yeah.
But these people, wealthy people, wait for their money. They'll do anything to conserve their wealth. And they have other investments too. So that's why we specialize in the upper end on the leasepurchaseguys.com. So if you want to look at our website on just the leasepurchaseguys.com, you'll see how we talk to sellers. If you're interested, you know, I know you REI guys out there that you all want to know, how much does it cost to do this? Well, we don't know if we want your area. You may not have an area that we like.
Right.
You know?
So it begins with conversation.
It begins with conversation. Right. We will talk to you about your area, and we'll say, well, we may consider it. And then we'll do our own research as far as the comps and so forth, and how many days on the market, which is a great statistic as far as how hard it is for these houses to sell. If it's a long time, days on the market, an agent lists the house and it takes 6 months to sell, well, that means that we're needed. If houses are selling really fast, maybe we aren't needed that much. Okay? So that's the leasepurchaseguys.com, helping sellers sell for top sales price, no real estate fees, no closing costs, and no seller's concessions, and no price reductions.
Sounds dreamy.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Now, how much money do we make? We make 3% of the sales price. So if it's a $500,000 house, 1% is $5,000 times 3. It's $15,000 a house we get for these executive homes. We love it.
And now, you spoke to your experience in financial planning. How else do you have experience in this?
Well, my first lease purchase deal I ever did, I was very young. I was 24 years old. I had a mentor, though, that taught me a lot. You know, he told me exactly how to draft the agreements and what to say to the seller, what to say to the buyer, and how to put it together. Okay, so I had great training.
Yes,
okay,
that's key.
And not just with insurance and investments and 401ks and all that other stuff. I use that to pay some bills, but I do this right now full-time, training real estate investors to set up a business. See, you can go buy a course for $800, $1,000. You can go to a seminar and learn some tricks. But how do you, within 30 days, start making money? Well, we want you to open up an office and see people and present solutions to them.
Real
and
solutions.
Make money. How would you like to do 2 houses a month at $30,000 gross income with your costs under $5,000 a month? How would you like that?
Yeah.
Is that a good business? Does that beat Subway and making sandwiches? You know, it's up to you what kind of life you want. Now, the wholesalers that come to us, some of them have bad habits because their job is to drive the price down to the seller and
Right.
only kind of treat the seller, you know, not nicely.
Right.
That's not this business.
Yeah.
This business, you have to treat that seller with dignity. If you get a referral from a CPA or a financial planner or a lawyer, and you do that to a seller, their client, that's the last referral you're ever going to get.
Right. It's a different clientele.
And it's not just a different clientele, but it's not a wholesaling situation. These are highly educated people. They can't sell their house. Why? Because they bought it top of the market.
Right.
There's very little equity in the house. They would have to break an IRA or a 401k to even sell the house.
And there's penalties with that.
They don't want to rent out their beautiful house
Right.
because of the damage. You know, if you got a crappy little rental, you don't care. You just clean it out. You know, you're lucky to even clean it out really well and go rent it out again. Okay? That's not this.
No.
Okay.
It's not what I hear you saying.
So that's the leasepurchaseguys.com. Now we have another site, a sister site, and we call it therentToOwnGuys.com. And guess who those people are for? These are for the buyer side.
Okay. So you
So
really
you see
addressing both sides.
There are two sides.
Yeah.
The seller side, the buyer side. So the rentToOwnGuys.com is an innovative site that only deals with executives trying to get into their school district, their neighborhood today. Now, they got some problems. A lot of those people are self-employed people. Maybe because of the recession, they started a new business. They say, I can't make any money. I just been downsized. I got some severance money. I just went out and started my own business.
Sure. But that poses problems.
It does. In mortgage origination, they want 3 years tax returns generally for a new business. And the income has to be going like this.
Credit will be denied, right?
You won't get a home loan if you've got your own business. There's other issues that we can work around. We've even helped people, bad things happen to good people. Our number one criteria when we deal with somebody with a credit problem is what happened, how did it happen, what was in your control, what was out of your control,
Right.
how long ago did it happen? Because what we look for is a 5-year beautiful no problem period, okay? Even with something very difficult, like we had one client that had like a medical bankruptcy, over $100,000 in medical bills. His child was sick, he didn't have enough coverage. He went to bankruptcy court, he didn't have any choice. I'd rather work with a guy like that than a guy that had an S-corp and he just was irresponsible
Chose not to
and
pay his
he
bills.
shut the business down and went bankrupt.
Sure.
So you see that we're kind of picky about who we take on. Because if we put that second guy into a house, he might just, you know, see you later,
Yeah.
okay? But the first guy really wants to rehabilitate his situation, okay? So these tenant buyers are the ones that pay us our fee of $15,000. A lot of them are small business owners. They have rich cash businesses. Like a good example is like a restaurant with huge cash coming in. They can throw $5,000 at a house a month, easy, okay? But they can't get a loan. And they need that school district for their kids.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
Could be a young doctor that has all this student loan money.
Oh, the debt, sure.
You know?
Yeah.
That might stop the loan. It's not just, when you hear credit problems, you hear, oh, bad credit risk. Oh, somebody dishonest. Oh, somebody doesn't pay their bills.
Not necessarily.
That's not what we're dealing with.
Right.
The other thing that's innovative with our distributorship of these leasepuchaseguys.com is we actually teach you to do what's called COIs. Now that's a funny term, but it's referral marketing.
Okay.
Like for instance, if you're selling your house, chances are the agent you use is your friend.
I'd say 9 times out of 10. I would agree with that.
Right?
Yes, I have a few friends right now that are real estate
There you
agents.
go.
Yes.
And don't they always do a little bit of referral marketing with you?
Sure.
And say, hey, if you ever know anybody that needs to sell,
Of course, it's their business.
it's their business.
Yes.
So word of mouth. Well, we do the same thing. So we will teach you exactly what to say to your centers of influence to be able to get leads, even if you don't have a relationship with them. Okay?
You're really laying it all out here. I mean, this,
Well, you know,
which is great.
It takes talent to get it implemented. I can give you ideas, but that doesn't mean you're going to go have a successful business.
Right. But to have a plan in place that you know has worked in the past, has a great success rate, that's what people desire, and they want to know how to do it. Tell me the steps.
Well, I want to also say one other thing. Rent-to-own gets a bad rap. There's people that go get a crappy little house and they'll lie to a tenant and say, we'll help you own it. So they sign a lease and then an option to purchase agreement, and they don't work in their credit at all. You know what the rate of success for that is?
Probably
It's like
nil.
under 25%. Under 25%. Because it takes a very diligent person to go work on their credit. And they usually need help. Well, we take them by the hand from day one, and generally within 18 months to 2 years, their credit's good enough to get a mortgage. Not all the time, but about 80% of the time.
But it's moving in that
Oh, yeah.
direction, in a positive direction of,
Yeah.
of gaining points, getting
Yeah.
your credit report up.
Yeah.
That's great.
And you know what? If we have to tell that tenant, we don't have enough income to buy the house, you need a part-time job. Increase the income. That's what we tell them to do.
You're living in reality
Yeah.
and trying to teach them to live in reality. That's great.
Well, it doesn't always work, but we do our best.
Yeah.
Now, we have some safeguards for the seller because we're pro-seller in this business. We want to protect the seller's house any way we can. All right? So one of the safeguards that we do is, you know, we got to make sure that that tenant pays on time. And we have an ingenious way to get that done. We're not going to spill the beans on how to do that, but the sellers love how we get the tenant to pay this bill, the first bill of the month.
Makes them feel safe.
Well, safety is very important. We have executive homes. We don't have blue-collar homes.
That's right. The mortgage is high.
$5,000 a month, some of them.
Yes.
3 to 7,000. And in the case of a very, very expensive market, what's the most expensive market you can think of? Los Angeles.
I was going to say San Francisco, but
San Francisco.
right. New York City.
New York. Chicago.
Right. Sure.
Okay. Even Miami's expensive.
I was thinking, yes.
You know, but these great cities, if you want an executive home in those cities, you're looking at a payment, PITI, between $5,000 to $10,000 a month. Do you want to rent that out to somebody? That
I mean,
beautiful house?
right. What is
Oh, yeah,
what's the
insane.
guarantee that I'm going to get that money every month and not
you
have
got
to
to pay
float
the
it?
mortgage no matter what.
That's right. Not have to float it. Yeah.
So the model is we help people sell, especially if they bought at the top of the market, and they avoid all these costs when they sell.
That's great.
They get somebody in their house that loves it and will take care of it and do minor maintenance and do really just cherish that house. They need the school districts today. They don't want to wait. That young doctor, that young dentist right out of school, they can't wait. Or that new executive that just came in will talk to their HR department. We'll teach you how to do that and exactly what to say so that we can get these new executives into their neighborhood today. Okay? And the seller, everybody wins. We're not stepping on anybody to make money, and we're making 3% of a very expensive house per house. My job with you as an REI is to help you set this business up. We're going to grow slowly. We're going to get you an assistant, so you're focusing just on house selling. Then we're going to get a tenant buyer specialist, so that you can focus just on sellers. And then we're going to get you into the COI marketing once you get some runs on the board. And we'll teach you exactly what to say to a CPA, exactly what to say to a bankruptcy attorney, exactly what to say to a title company, whatever you need to learn. And I'm going to leave you with something free about Center of Influence Marketing. This is what we financial planners do. We go by word of mouth all the time.
That's great.
Okay? We always get 3 referrals from every client. Okay? So I thank you for listening to what I have to offer for training. It's not cheap. If you want something for $500, it's not us. Okay? We want you to have a business where you're making $20,000 a month or $250,000 in gross receipts a year. If you want that, you got to ask yourself, am I willing to pay for it? Look at entrepreneurmagazine.com and look at all the top 500 franchises and see what some of those cost. If you want to go buy a Jiffy Lube that brings in that kind of money, or a Subway that brings in that kind of money, then go do that. If you want to do this kind of recession-proof lease purchase consulting where you're helping high-end homeowners sell, and you're helping high-income but marginal credit buyers buy, make sure you just get the information down below. Opt in, and I'll see what I can do to talk to you about your area. I can't guarantee anything. I'll tell you what it costs generally, but we're going to put a business plan together. The fees you pay me is not the only cost for this business. You're going to have to get office space, you're going to have some marketing money, and you're going to have to hire at least a temporary assistant so that you can implement this business plan. Jen, thank you.
If this interests you, please call Brian Gibbons with the
LeasePuchaseGuys.com. Thank you for that.
And the RentToOwnGuys.com. Call him now. Don't delay on this. This sounds like a wonderful opportunity. Thank you.
Well, thank you. You've been great.